It's 7 o'clock in the morning on a typical day at Alderney Airport. The daily ritual of the staff and crew of Aurigny Air Services has begun. Support services too are starting their early morning runway exercises. The airport couldn't operate without the fire services providing full emergency cover. The captain of the first flight of the day has to carry out mandatory pre-takeoff safety checks to ensure that his engines, instruments and systems are performing to specification. Only when he is satisfied will the aircraft be allowed to fly. The 10 firemen and 1 section leader work in shifts, black watch and red watch, taking it in turn to check that the runway is free of obstacles and, at the same time, ensuring that their equipment is ready to meet any emergency. The Gomber Stonefield fire engines carry 300 gallons of water, 20 gallons of concentrated foam, and 700 kilos of BCF, a special concentrate to cope with engine and electrical fires.
Good morning, Colin Reid News, Strand 4 also. May I proceed back to station from the end of 26? I2, roger, thank you.
Checks having been completed, the first flight of the day, to Guernsey, is ready for departure. The familiar yellow trilanders of Aurigny Air Services provide a vital link for commuters and holidaymakers to the Channel Islands, the mainland and France. During the summer months, over 100 scheduled aircraft movements take place daily. From small beginnings in 1968, the airline now carries over 282,000 passengers a year, not to mention 1,700 tons of freight. With this successful growth over the last 20 years, it's hardly surprising that Aurigny Air Services has become synonymous with the Channel Islands. Alderney's 3 runways, 2 grass and the main tarmac runway, have barely changed over the years. Someone who came to know them intimately is Bob Hamer, one of Aurigny's first pilots.
Well, it all started for me on 14th of April, which happened to be Easter Sunday that year in 1968. And somebody telephoned me and said they're looking for pilots in Alderney. So out I came and I met the others, who were Sir Derek Bailey, Charles Poole, Bert Lane and Butch Catchside. And so we started and got training, but their first trip had been March the 1st when they did the epic first flight from Alderney down to Guernsey. And in true RAF style, they'd had a party at the Albert the night before. And this party went on very late into the night, early morning. So they crawled out of bed rather to do the first trip, but it all went off very well indeed. There was a terrific feeling at that time on the island because Alderney was going to lose its air links with Guernsey, and we were hailed rather as heroes rescuing the island, and also we were mostly all ex-RAF, so it was just one great happy family together.
What was navigation like in those days, Bob? Were there any problems?
Well, not with real navigation, because all the radio aids in the islands are so good and so modern and up to date. But I must say that when we got well into the flying in that first year, we got so blasé about it, and we were doing so many flights per day that we would take off from one of the islands, and quite accidentally, because the schedule perhaps had been changed for that day, we'd head for the wrong island. And this did happen once, and the passengers said nothing until the pilot landed at Jersey instead of Alderney. On the other occasion, I remember, the passengers who were Alderney bound and were regulars said, "Where on earth do you think you're going, pilot?" He said, "Oh, sorry, they've changed the schedule again." So he turned round and headed for the correct island.
These days, however, the Aurigny Trilanders, under the strict guidance of the air traffic control, arrive at their scheduled destinations. Apart from the commercial movements into Alderney Airport, private and commuter aircraft now fly in and stop over in ever-increasing numbers. The popularity of the island has attracted fly-ins from all over the UK and Europe. Alderney even has its own resident private flying instructress, Sally Williamson. The airline's reputation for excellence is built upon its reliability and quality of service. By the end of the day, hundreds of passengers have been flown to their destinations, but for the staff of Aurigny Air Services, it's been just another day.